Your crew installs a rooftop AC unit on a commercial building. Everything runs fine. 2 weeks later, a heavy rain comes through, water gets in at the penetration point where the unit meets the roof, and it runs down into the ceiling and walls of the business below. By the time the business owner calls you, there's water damage across multiple rooms, and the remediation estimate is north of $20,000. The install is done, your crew is long gone, and now there's a claim. If you run an HVAC company and your insurance was set up the same way it would be for a general handyman or a landscaper, there are gaps in your coverage that are specific to this trade. HVAC work has exposures that most small business policies are not built to handle out of the box. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jim Eddington, and my agency helps individuals and businesses with their insurance every single day. HVAC is one of those trades where the coverage gaps are specific to the work, and a generic small business policy is not going to catch them. Let me walk through what your policy actually needs to cover. General liability is the foundation. It covers third-party bodily injury and property damage claims that come out of your operations. The small stuff, a cracked tile, some drywall damage during a service call, most HVAC companies just handle that out of pocket. It's not worth filing a claim when you're carrying a $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 deductible. The claims that matter are the ones where the number gets past what you can absorb. A condenser unit comes loose during a rooftop crane lift on a commercial job and damages the roof structure. A brazing torch catches insulation in a ceiling cavity and starts a fire. Those are general liability claims where the repair bill can hit 6 figures, and that's when you need the policy to respond. Where it gets complicated is completed operations. That's the part of your general liability policy that covers claims that happen after you leave the job site. That rooftop install from the beginning of this video is a completed operations claim. The work was done, the crew left, and the damage showed up weeks later when it rained. A refrigerant line connection that fails a month after install and causes damage inside a home is the same category. The work is finished, you already got paid, and now there's a claim. Completed operations is the coverage you need in place for that kind of claim. A lot of HVAC contractors do not realize completed operations is a separate coverage part within their general liability. If it's excluded or limited, you have a major gap because many of the serious claims in this trade happen after the technician has packed up the van and driven away. One important thing to understand here, general liability is not a warranty on your workmanship. If the only issue is that the work has to be redone, that may not be a covered claim. The claim gets serious when faulty work causes damage to something else, like the ceiling, the walls, inventory inside the building, or another part of the structure. That resulting damage is where the policy steps in. HVAC technicians carry expensive equipment, refrigerant recovery machines, vacuum pumps, manifold gauge sets, leak detectors, combustion analyzers. A fully equipped service van can easily have tens of thousands of dollars worth of tools and diagnostic equipment inside it. A standard commercial property policy is built around equipment at your business location. It may give little or no meaningful coverage for equipment sitting in a van parked at a job site or in a customer's driveway overnight. That is a different coverage called inland marine, and for HVAC contractors, there are 2 pieces to think about. The first is a contractor's tools and equipment floater. That covers your portable tools and diagnostic equipment wherever they go. If someone breaks into your service van overnight and takes your recovery machine and your gauges, that is an inland marine claim. The second is an installation floater. That covers materials you're transporting to a job and storing on site before they're permanently installed. Condensers, air handlers, ductwork, line sets, thermostats. If a storm damages materials sitting in a customer's garage waiting to be installed the next morning, your commercial property policy is not going to cover that. The installation floater does. These are not exotic coverages. They're standard options on most commercial packages, but if nobody asked you about them when your policy was set up, they may not be there. HVAC work is physically demanding, and the injury list is specific to the trade. Falls from ladders and rooftops are some of the most common and most expensive workers' comp claims in this industry. Technicians work on rooftop units, climb into attics in the middle of the summer, and get onto scaffolding regularly. One misstep on a flat roof and you're looking at a broken wrist, a back injury, or worse. Electrical contact is another one. Technicians are working around live wiring during installs and diagnostics. Burns from brazing and soldering from hot surfaces and steam lines. Respiratory issues from working in confined spaces with poor ventilation. Repetitive strain from carrying compressors up ladders and working in awkward positions overhead all day. If you have employees, most states require workers' compensation coverage. In the states we write, that is a firm requirement once you have employees on payroll. The cost reflects the risk profile of the trade, and HVAC sits in a moderate to high risk category because of the combination of heights, electrical exposure, and heavy lifting. Here's something a lot of HVAC business owners don't think about. If you hire subcontractors and they don't carry their own workers' comp, their injury on your job could become your problem. The carrier may treat that uninsured sub as your employee at audit time, which means you're paying for coverage you never planned for. Make sure anyone working under your business has their own workers' comp in place and collect a certificate of insurance that proves it before they start any work. Here's something unique to the HVAC trade. Anyone who maintains, services, repairs, or disposes of equipment that could release regulated refrigerant generally needs the proper EPA Section 608 certification. Intentionally venting regulated refrigerants is illegal. The penalties can run into the tens of thousands of dollars per violation per day. This matters for your insurance because an EPA enforcement action is a regulatory matter, not a standard liability claim. A general liability policy is not designed to cover federal fines and penalties. If your business gets cited for improper refrigerant handling, record-keeping failures, or a technician who does not hold the right certification level, that financial exposure lands directly on the business. The way to manage this is on the operational side. Make sure every technician holds the appropriate EPA certification. Keep detailed records of refrigerant added, removed, and recovered. Follow the recovery and recycling requirements. Your insurance doesn't fix a compliance failure, but solid compliance practices keep the regulatory exposure manageable. Some contractors also look at pollution liability coverage for environmental cleanup costs related to refrigerant releases. That's a specialized policy and worth asking your agent about if your operation handles large commercial systems. Most HVAC businesses run service vans or trucks. Those need commercial auto coverage. A personal auto policy is not going to respond when a vehicle is being used for business. And if a technician gets into a serious accident driving between service calls, the personal auto carrier may deny the claim. Commercial auto covers your company-owned vehicles. If you're running multiple service vans, every one of them needs to be on the policy. Here's the part that catches a lot of HVAC contractors off guard. If any of your employees ever use their personal vehicle for any business purpose, even driving to pick up a part or stopping at a supply house on the way to a job, you need hired and non-owned auto coverage. That fills the gap when a business-related accident happens in a vehicle the company does not own. If you do any work as a subcontractor under a general contractor, or if you handle commercial HVAC for property managers or building owners, you're going to be asked for a certificate of insurance before you set foot on the job site. That certificate needs to show your general liability limits, your workers' comp, and usually your commercial auto. Many commercial contracts require specific limits. A general contractor might require $1 million per occurrence and $2 million aggregate at minimum. If your limits don't match what the contract calls for, you don't get the work. And they may also require you to name the general contractor or building owner as an additional insured on your policy, and they may want a waiver of subrogation. These are common requests, but your policy has to be set up correctly before your agent can turn that certificate around quickly. We covered certificates of insurance in detail in another video on the channel. The point here is that your HVAC policy needs to be structured so that when a certificate of insurance request comes in, you can respond fast and it shows everything the contract requires. If it doesn't, you're losing work to the contractor who can. Here's what a well-insured HVAC contractor typically carries. General liability with completed operations included. Workers' compensation, commercial auto for the fleet, hired and non-owned auto, inland marine covering both a tools and equipment floater and an installation floater, a business owner's policy or a commercial package that bundles your property and liability coverages together, and a commercial umbrella on top for additional limits above your underlying policies. Most of this bundles together on a single commercial package. The key is making sure the HVAC specific pieces are included because a generic small business policy may leave them out. One more thing on the umbrella. A commercial umbrella gives you higher limits, but it follows the terms of the policies underneath it. If something is excluded on your base general liability, the umbrella doesn't fix that. Get the foundation right first. If you're running an HVAC business and you have not had a detailed conversation with your agent about completed operations, inland marine, installation floaters, and how your policy handles certificate of insurance requests, have that conversation. These are not hypothetical gaps. They're the claims that actually come in. There's a link below where you can reach out to us for a quote. We write commercial insurance in Nevada, Arizona, Utah, and California, and we'd be happy to walk through your coverage. Subscribe to the channel. We publish most business days, and what we cover is for individuals, families, and business owners who want to understand their insurance before they need it, not after. Thanks for watching.